Luca, a single dad, took care of his daughter Ariana after his wife passed away during childbirth. Balancing work and parenting was tough. So sometimes he brought Ariana to work, luckily without any issues from his coworkers. Luca was cautious about hiring a nanny because of his own childhood experiences. He'd been mistreated by nannies, making it hard for him to trust anyone else with Ariana's care. Once Ariana began school, she often found herself waiting alone at the school gate until Luca could pick her up due to his work. Luca felt guilty that Ariana had to wait, but she never complained. Even at a young age, Ariana understood the difficulty her dad faced in balancing work and taking care of her. Although she felt a bit sad about not having a mom to do things like making her hair, cooking homemade meals, and dressing her like other kids. One day, as Luca arrived late as usual to pick up Ariana, he was surprised to see her sitting and laughing with a young man, Easton, around his age. Witnessing Ariana laugh so much was a rare sight for Luca. Upon picking her up, he learned that Easton was Ariana's new teacher. He expressed gratitude to Easton for staying with her until he arrived, something the other teachers usually didn't do. Back home, Luca observed that Ariana's hair was neatly tied and styled, different from how he usually did it for her in the morning. Luca inquired, and Ariana shared that Easton had styled her hair. Her face lit up with a smile as she spoke enthusiastically about him, a rare occurrence, as Ariana wasn't usually talkative. Luca watched her with admiration, realizing that she must genuinely like Easton. In the days that followed, whenever Luca arrived late to pick up Ariana, he found them talking and laughing. Luca began engaging in small talks with Easton during these encounters, eventually exchanging numbers for any matters related to Ariana. Ariana never stopped talking about Easton at home. One day, while Luca was at work, Easton called to inform him that Ariana had an allergic reaction and was taken to the school clinic. Luca rushed there anxiously, relieved to find Ariana okay. Easton, looking concerned, pulled Luca aside and inquired about anyone else caring for Ariana. Luca explained he was the sole caregiver since his wife's passing. Easton expressed condolences and shared his worry for Ariana, mentioning her messy appearance, occasional uniform mix-ups, mismatched shoes, and reliance on store-bought junk food. Ariana also had to wait long for pickup. Luca acknowledged these challenges, expressing his desire to care for Ariana, but highlighted the necessity of his work for the household. Easton suggested hiring a nanny, but Luca hesitated, citing trust issues. When asked about family, Luca revealed they lived far away, and he preferred Ariana to stay close. Ariana, who had been standing there unnoticed, suggested staying with Easton. Luca quickly voiced his concerns, stating he didn't know Easton well and didn't want to inconvenience him. Easton assured them it wouldn't be an inconvenience, sharing that he had taken care of his little sister in the past. Despite Ariana's plea to stay with Easton during weekdays, Luca firmly refused. In the subsequent days, Ariana maintained a silent treatment towards Luca, stemming from his refusal to let her stay with Easton. Luca, sensing the strain, acknowledged he needed help in caring for Ariana. Yielding to her silent plea and puppy eyes, he decided to explore the option of Ariana staying with Easton during weekdays. Luca approached Easton, discussed the idea, and Easton gladly agreed. Wanting to ensure the environment was suitable, Luca visited Easton's house on another day and found himself pleased with the living space. Easton showed Luca the room for Ariana, which used to be his sister's. Luca said to Easton that he'd visit Ariana every day after work, and Easton welcomed the idea. When Ariana learned about staying at Easton's during weekdays, she was thrilled. After packing a few things, she moved there. After work, Luca headed straight to Easton's house. There, he found Easton and Ariana enjoying a meal that Easton had cooked. Easton invited Luca to join them, and though hesitant at first, Luca sat down. It was the first time in a long while that Luca had truly relaxed and enjoyed a proper meal. Luca spent some time with Ariana before heading back home to prepare for the next workday. Visiting Easton's house for meals and spending time with Ariana became a routine for Luca. As their friendship grew, Luca occasionally stayed overnight. And sometimes on weekends, the three of them went out for some fun. Luca noticed a positive change in Ariana, and it brought him a lot of happiness. Luca revealed to Easton that he had decided to quit his job. He explained about a project that, once completed, would bring in a substantial sum of money. Luca intended to combine this with his savings to start his own business, prioritizing more time for Ariana and himself. Feeling he hadn't been the best caregiver and father, he wanted a change. Easton surprised Luca with a warm hug and reassured him, saying, "You are a great father. You did a great job raising Ariana all by yourself. Whatever decision you make, know that I'll be here to support you." Luca's mind wasn't focused on Easton's words, but on the rapid beating of his heart when Easton hugged him. He couldn't understand why he was feeling this way. As Easton released him, he noticed Luca's flushed ears and cheeks. Easton touched Luca's face, asking if he was sick. Luca's heart raced even faster. Without answering, he quickly grabbed his bag and left for home. Despite literally living with Easton for a while now, he now felt uncomfortable sharing a room with him due to this strange and unexpected feeling. Balancing time with Ariana after work meant Luca couldn't escape interactions with Easton. Each time he was near Easton, his heart raced. Luca was aware of the underlying reason for these feelings, but he hesitated to acknowledge or confront them. One day, as Luca was heading home, heavy rain started pouring. Easton suggested Luca spend the night at his house, since the rain might not stop soon, and it was the weekend the next day. Luca insisted on waiting until it stopped. Easton expressed concern that it wouldn't be safe for Luca to go back home. But Luca remained insistent on waiting until it stopped. Easton went to put Ariana to sleep and retreated to his room. Upon returning, he found Luca asleep on the couch. Easton gently tapped Luca to wake him up and suggested he sleep in his room. But Luca declined, stating he preferred the couch. When questioned about the change, as he usually slept in Easton's room when staying over, Luca simply replied that he felt like sleeping on the couch. Despite Easton's concern about the cold and the possibility of Luca catching a cold, Luca remained firm in refusing to sleep in Easton's room. Unyielding, Easton took Luca's hand and led him to his room. Luca compromised by laying a blanket on the floor next to the bed, declaring his intention to sleep there. Easton, with a simple remark of "don't catch a cold then," went to his bed, while Luca settled down on the floor. Luca woke up in the middle of the night, surprised to find himself next to Easton on the bed. He gazed at Easton, silently tracing his finger along his face, eyes, nose, and lips. As he moved closer, contemplating a kiss, he snapped back to reality and stopped, finding himself with his face still close to Easton's. Just then, Easton shifted forward, and their lips touched. Luca froze, his heart racing. Easton turned to face the other side, his eyes closed, a subtle smile forming on the corner of his lips. Luca, still in shock, stayed in bed, unable to sleep until morning. Unable to sleep, Luca decided to make breakfast before everyone woke up. Easton, an early bird, heard noises from the kitchen and noticed Luca wasn't beside him. Upon finding Luca preparing breakfast, Easton smirked. Luca, upon seeing Easton, tried to act normal. Easton greeted him, and Luca responded, avoiding eye contact. Easton offered to help with the cooking, but Luca insisted he could manage on his own. Easton smiled and sat, observing Luca. Despite not making eye contact, Luca sensed Easton's gaze, leading him to become clumsy and drop things. Easton suddenly mentioned, "I had a dream someone kissed me last night." Luca, startled, dropped a pan, but quickly recovered. Attempting to sound casual as he said, "Maybe you were thinking about someone you like, and you sent it into your dream." Easton replied, "I don't have anyone that I like yet." Luca then asked, "Oh, really?" To which Easton responded, "Yeah, do you have someone that you like?" Luca hastily replied, "Well, I'm too busy to find someone to like." Easton remarked, "You don't have to find." Confused, Luca said, "Huh," just as Ariana emerged, expressing hunger, and the conversation ceased. They all ate in silence, as was the norm, given Luca's preference for Ariana not talking while eating. However, this time, the atmosphere felt different, carrying a different vibe. After finally quitting his job, Luca devoted more time to Ariana. One day, while playing in the park, he asked her what she thought about Easton. Ariana shared that she found Easton to be a really nice person and that she liked him. Luca then asked, "What if Daddy told you that he is in love with Easton?" Ariana responded, "Then I'll be happy to have him as my daddy, too." Encouraged, Luca inquired, "So you'll be okay if we are together?" Ariana nodded excitedly, wondering if they were dating. Luca's mood shifted, and he admitted, "Not yet. I don't think Easton likes me though." Ariana hugged her dad, saying, "I'm sure he likes you. Just try to get closer to him and let your actions show that you like him." Luca quickly pulled away from the hug and questioned, "Where did you learn all this? You know too much for your age." Ariana responded with a guilty smile, and Luca to embrace her once again. In that moment, he reflected on the possibility that leaving her alone frequently had contributed to her early maturity. Despite quitting his job, Luca didn't go home with Ariana. In fact, he hadn't been home himself. Following Ariana's advice, Luca asked Easton to teach him how to cook, realizing his culinary skills were limited to simple breakfasts. Easton agreed, and subsequently, every time Easton cooked, Luca joined him in the kitchen. Despite his efforts, Luca struggled to convey his feelings to Easton, unsure of how to express his affection. While Easton was cooking, Luca offered him an apple, and Easton nodded in agreement. Luca peeled and cut the apples, placing them beside Easton, and began eating one himself. Observing that Easton wasn't eating the apple Luca gave him, Luca inquired if he no longer wanted it. Easton lifted his dough-covered hands and responded, "My hands are busy. Can you feed me?" With a smile. Luca fed him the apples, and as they reached the last one, Luca asked, "Who is going to have the last apple?" Easton replied, "You can have it." As Luca put the apple in his mouth, Easton bit off the part outside Luca's mouth, touching their lips slightly. After chewing, he remarked, "This one tastes sweeter." Feeling a rush of emotions, Luca took a deep breath, exhaled, and began fanning himself with his hand. Easton noticed and remarked, "Your ears are turning red again. Are you okay?" Luca, mumbling to himself about how he was supposed to be okay, sheepishly smiled at Easton and claimed he was fine, just feeling a little hot. He then excused himself from the kitchen, and Easton smirked. Since that day, Luca observed a change in Easton's behavior, noting a more flirtatious tone in his actions and expressions. Luca confided in Ariana, expressing his belief that Easton might have feelings for him. Ariana, in response, suggested Luca should confess his love to Easton. Luca hesitated, fearing he might be misreading Easton's signals and wanting to avoid any potential awkwardness. Ariana insisted he wouldn't know unless he tried, but Luca was still skeptical. Ariana sighed and asked for his phone. Luca, unsure of her intentions, handed it over, casting a suspicious look her way. Ariana, with Luca's phone in hand, typed a message that caught Luca off guard. When he took the phone back, he discovered that Ariana had texted Easton. "Since I don't know how to say this to your face, I'm going to say it through a text. I think I'm in love with you." Luca panicked and gave Ariana a disapproving look, considering deleting the message, but noticed that Easton had already read it. Luca began to fret about facing Easton, but just told him to relax, encouraging him to take things in stride. The doorbell rang, prompting Luca and Ariana to investigate. They discovered a young girl at the door who enthusiastically hugged Easton, showering him with kisses. Luca and Ariana exchanged confused glances. Easton introduced the girl as Eleanor, his little sister. Luca and Ariana, relieved, introduced themselves to Eleanor. Eleanor, filled with excitement, immediately hugged Ariana and expressed her admiration, stating that she found Ariana cute and mentioning that she had always wanted a little sister. She proposed giving her a makeover, to which Ariana eagerly agreed. As they left hand in hand, Ariana subtly signaled to Luca to talk to Easton. After Eleanor and Ariana left the room, Luca mentioned, "Since your sister is back, I guess Ariana and I will have to leave." Easton responded, "You don't have to. She doesn't live here anymore anyways." Luca insisted, "But still, I think it's not right to keep living here." Easton didn't immediately reply. Instead, he moved close to Luca and said, "I saw your text." Luca, feeling cornered, stepped back and claimed, "It doesn't sound believable, but it was actually Ariana who sent that text. I'm sorry." Easton closed the distance again, expressing disappointment. "Ouch, that's disappointing. I got excited for no reason." Luca asked, "What do you mean?" Easton responded, "I thought we both shared the same feeling, but I guess it's just me." Luca quickly clarified, "No, I feel the same way." Easton, moving closer, inquired, "So you love me?" Luca nodded slowly. When Easton couldn't move anymore because there was no more space between them, he tenderly cupped Luca's face, preparing to kiss him. However, Luca, conscious of potential onlookers, blocked the impending kiss with his hand, cautioning that others might see them. Easton, unfazed, smiled and took Luca's hand, placing a gentle kiss on it, and then moving it to his neck. With his arm around Luca's waist, Easton pulled him even closer, assuring, "Don't worry, they're not going to see us." He then tilted his head, initiating a kiss on Luca's lips. Luca reciprocated, and the two engaged in a gentle yet passionate kiss. As Easton pulled away, he remarked, "Your mouth tastes like strawberry." Luca explained, "I just had one of Ariana's candies. Is there a problem?" Easton smirked, responding, "No, I love strawberries," and kissed Luca again, this time with a more intense exploration of each other's mouths. After pulling away from the kiss, Easton smiled and interlocked his fingers with Luca's, expressing, "You are stuck with me forever." Luca reciprocated with a smile and countered, "Really? Is that what you think? You're the one stuck with me." Unfazed, Easton replied, "It doesn't matter, as long as I'm with you." Then they both hugged. While they were hugging, Eleanor and Ariana emerged from the room and witnessed the scene. Luca, noticing them, instinctively pushed Easton away, but Easton pulled him close again. Eleanor commented, "I guess my brother finally got himself a boyfriend." And then turned to Ariana, excitedly proclaiming, "We're going to be family." The two girls shared an enthusiastic hug. Easton asked Eleanor, "When are you leaving?" And Eleanor replied, "Relax, I was already leaving. You don't want me anymore now that you have a boyfriend." She bid farewell to Luca, referring to him as her brother-in-law, and left with a smile. Ariana approached Luca and Easton, wrapping them in a hug, and expressed, "I love you both." They both reciprocated the sentiment, saying, "We love you too." They found themselves becoming an unexpected family. A family which came together, maybe by chance or by fate,